So for our project, we use Madden 13 to conduct our simulations. To start with, one of the control variables that we changed was our starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. So if we go to the rosters screen, we can find the Atlanta Falcons. Look at their starting quarterback, Ryan Mallett, and take him off the team. If we go back to an exhibition match, so if we go to an exhibition match, we can choose which team is home and away. For our project, we looked at the Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints. We can switch either team to have them on the home or the away side. Once we start up a game, we can change the settings for each game. We chose to keep the time the same for each game played at 4:15 p.m. Here you can pick which stadium you're at, and for the weather, we chose to have it clear or to have it as heavy rain. So once we start up a game, we'll be able to go to the main menu and pick up the simulation option so that it will run it for us. At this point, we let the computer decide the coin toss and the kicking and receiving side. After that, you can go to the main menu under coaching options, Super Sim. We can pick Advanced Sim and have it run a simulation for the entire game. And as this happens, it records every play and gives a visual representation of what's happening during the game. So at the end of the game, we can see all these statistics, and what we're looking for is the final score between the two teams, particularly the Atlanta Falcons' points scored.
Create a 2 to the third factorial design in Minitab. We did this by having 3 different factors. We had the home location versus the away location, the starting quarterback versus the non-starting quarterback, and heavy rain versus clear weather. We left the Falcons playing the Saints for every game, and we left all the players the exact same except for the quarterback. Right here we see that the -1 represents the away location, the +1 represents the starting quarterback, and the +1 here represents clear weather. And it goes down so forth, running every different combination, which would be up to 10 combinations. But we ran 10 replications of each. Therefore, we had 80 total replications. So we see that the negative number represents what we would think would be negative towards the total amount of points scored by the Falcons. And the positive number is what we believed would be positive for making more points So after we ran this, we plugged in the total points for each scenario that we got in the simulation, and we ran and analyzed the 2-3 factorial. After we ran the analyze, we looked at home, quarterback, and weather. We also looked at home and quarterback together, home and weather together, quarterback and weather together, home, quarterback, and weather together. And we looked over here at the p-value. The p-value is the probability that we would falsely believe that this factor would affect our total points scored. So we want this probability to be very small. And we see that the quarterback having a starting quarterback versus a non-starting quarterback had a p-value of 0.023. This p-value is very small, which allows us to believe that the starting quarterback plays a key factor in the Falcons scoring more points than when they have their non-starter in. So we ran the analyze again with just points versus the starting quarterback versus non-starting quarterback. And we looked at the R squared predicted, which is if we had 79 replications and we were looking for the 80th, this is the probability that we'd be able to get the right number. And it went up when we did this, which is expected. So then we decided to make a scatter plot of the total points scored versus the QB. We see that at this negative number, this is the non-starting quarterback. And we can see that the average is much lower than the average of the starting quarterback. The average for the non-starting quarterback is around 12, but the average for the starting quarterback is probably around 20. And this follows along with the p-value. So in conclusion, we have decided that we can reject the fact that the home and away affect the total points scored by the Falcons. The fact that heavy rain versus clear weather affects the total score of the Falcons. We can also reject that the home and the starting quarterback together affect the home and the weather, the quarterback and the weather, the home quarterback and the weather, but we cannot reject whether the starting quarterback versus the non-starting quarterback affect the total points. So we accept that. So in conclusion, we see that Madden uses the home and away and the weather as something more of just an aesthetic, something to please the user, but not as something that actually affects the total score of the team.